Hi, Hungry Attorney here again. This is one of Mrs. THA's favorites. Roasted stuffed long hots with prosciutto, cream cheese, and cheese. You want to get as straight a pepper as you can. The long hots can curl up at the ends. Once you do find the ones you like, and it's okay if there's a little curve to them, but you want to lay them the way they're going to lay flattest. So you sort of just play around with them until you see that they lay without shaking or moving. Now, once you've done that, you're going to get a paring knife and you're going to cut at the very top of the pepper below the stem and not all the way through, about 3/4 of the way through, like a little mouth at the top of the pepper. And then you're going to take the paring knife and go straight down to the bottom. The one thing that I'm going to stop and do now is put on some powder-free latex gloves, and I'm going to work with those on for pretty much the rest of this. I should have had them on from the beginning. You're going to do that to each of the peppers. And don't worry, if you cut too deep through it, it won't ruin the pepper. Just be careful not to. And again, the whole while keeping them the way they lay flat the best. Okay, now another reason to have the gloves. It's very easy to go in, pull from the top down, and then you can, as you're washing them afterwards, you can use your fingers to get most of the ribs out as well. You want to get a pepper that has a little bit of width to it. You don't want to get ones that are all folded in together. You'll know what I mean when you see the selection that you get at the store. All right, so you're just going to wash them one at a time and then set them on a paper towel. Doesn't matter if they're still a little wet when you start working with them. Okay. I like to keep the cream cheese in the freezer for a little bit before I cut it open, but I usually take about either a third or a half of it, cut clean through with a knife, put the other half in a plastic bag you can use for something else. The other side you're going to open up and keep it as best you can in the square that it's in. Now remember, you're going to be putting this in the bottom of the pepper. It will press down and mold into it, so you don't need a piece that fits into the pepper. Don't forget, there's going to be more that gets stuffed into them. So you just need, I like to keep it in strips like this because I'll work it between my hands and then get it the length of the pepper. Another reason the rubber gloves come in handy, and you can keep washing them off as you go step to step. Now I have 5 peppers, so I'm going to probably just cut about 5 of those and put the other half away with the leftover. And one by one, I'll open it as much as I can with my fingers, but be very careful because you will break the bottom of the pepper if you do that. And you're going to need to be spreading it out once you get it fully stuffed. So I work the cream cheese between my hands one at a time. And I get it in there. And it's okay if a little bit smears on the side of the pepper. You'll clean that up at the end of it. You can keep using your hands. You can keep pushing it back in. But anyway, get it in there and press it into the bottom of the pepper because you do want as much room as possible above it. Okay, and this is going to provide the creamiest part of the stuffed pepper. Okay, just do that for each of them. Get them all lined back up. You're going to take the prosciutto. They usually come divided. Actually, it's perfect. I do 5 or 6, and the package comes with 6 or 7 slices, so there's always one piece that you can eat while you're putting it all together. All right, now you don't want to roll it up to put it in because it'll get too tough to eat. So you keep it loose, and you just sort of bunch it in to each of the peppers and keep it pressed into the cream cheese. It'll hold it down, and it'll leave you a little room on top if you use your fingers to press it down to stuff in the shredded cheese that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. You do that for each of them. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just don't want to, you really want to spread that prosciutto into the pepper because, again, you don't want it to bunch up. It's going to shrink a little bit when you cook it. So you're going to take a mixture of what I've come out to be one of our favorites, which is about a half a cup of shredded fontina and a half a cup of shredded smoked Gouda cheese mixed together with your hands. And then you can also, it's going to be sitting out for a little bit, so it's going to be nice and malleable. So as you press it into the pepper, you can sort of squish it all together, mold the pepper so it stays into a proper shape and doesn't flatten out. And that way you can also keep from cracking the bottom as you stuff as much cheese as you can into it. And remember too, it's kind of like a canoe when you cook it. So the better the cut and the best room you have in there for all the ingredients, the less it's going to leak over the edge. But nonetheless, it's always going to leak. But the more you get centered in there and stuffed in there, the better chance you have of having a full stuffed, even if it is messy when it comes out of the oven. And that's it. I like to do 375 degrees in the oven for about 20 minutes. Check it. As long as it looks like the pepper's softening, maybe 25 minutes tops and you're done. Fresh bruschetta on top of it. It's a beautiful, beautiful dish. Very spicy. Very spicy. So enjoy it. This is The Hungry Attorney.